Hey friends, my name is Kaitlyn Duchien.
And I'm Nicole Ellsworth.
And we are two motivated millennials on a journey to face the fear of our financial future.
It feels like millennials are too often left in the dark about finances. Yet we are a generation of entrepreneurs, influencers, world changers, and risk takers.
It's time for us to take charge of our cash money, honey, and do some real talk about budgeting, student loans, retirement, investing, insurance, blah, 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 so we have the confidence to live in the here and now without fear of the future.
We hope that this podcast will be a safe space where we can just talk openly about our questions and find clear, relevant answers.
But before we dig in, quick disclaimer. While we both work in the insurance industry, we are not financial professionals.
Our goal is to simply have an open and honest conversation about financial topics and to hopefully educate ourselves and others in the process.
But we are not giving legal financial advice. We highly encourage our listeners to bring the topics we discuss here to a financial advisor for professional guidance to meet your specific financial goals.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Face the Fear podcast. We're so happy to have you here. It's been a while since we've done a podcast. Our last one was with David Hessel talking about student loans, and we actually did that one virtually over kind of a webinar style format. So we're really happy to be back in the studio. And Nicole and I are so excited for our guest today. We have been talking about having this guest with us for a while, and we're really happy to make it happen. So today we are joined by Tim Ash, CEO of Ash Brokerage, which if you've been following Face the Fear for a while, you know we love Ash. You know we're employees of Ash, and very happy with how supportive that Ash has been for Face the Fear. So Tim, we're so happy to have you here. Since you are Tim Ash, why don't you just give us a little bit of information about Ash itself, about you and how you decided to join the family business originally?
Well, first of all, I'm honored to be on your show and to be a guest. I think you guys do a great job. And the people that you have on, the topics that you cover, and just how well done they are. I just applaud both of you. I applaud your courage. I applaud your desire to get out of your comfort zone and to do this. And I think this might have stemmed from something at a Friday meeting or something. I'm not quite, I'm getting kind of old. So, but I recall it was then. But again, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So a little bit about the business. It's a family business. Started back in 1971. So we're going to be coming up on 50 years, which is really hard to believe. I grew up around in this business. And the business started out of necessity because my father was laid off at another job. And someone said to him, "Hey, Jim, why don't you try getting in the insurance business?" And that was what started this thing. So Ash Brokerage started with really small office, as you would imagine, and a couple of people. You call this face the fear? That's what he was doing, was facing the fear. I don't have a job, now I have to provide. Mm-hmm. And I was a whopping 4 years old at that time. And I don't remember at 4, but at 5, I started to recall when the business was about a year old, and some success was starting to happen, a little bit. And the business just evolved. It evolved over time. It was based it was an Indiana-based firm doing business just in Indiana. We actually were in health insurance, which we're not in at all. And then what we did was we expanded the products and expanded the services and expanded the distribution and the type of offerings that we were providing because the market was evolving. And so we kept changing what we had to do. We had to evolve in order to exist. Because if you keep doing the same things that you did the day before, eventually those things are going to fail or they're going to stop, and you're going to be left holding a bag of nothing. And so I've always thought of this company and this business as it's now, I call it will be a 50-year startup. You have to have a mentality like that. when you're in any kind of a business, I think. So I think I probably got off topic there a little bit about, the business. How I got involved in it was really simple. I was seeing my father networking and enjoying the people that he was around. He was around very creative, charismatic people that he enjoyed being around. And I saw him enjoying his work. I also saw him connect to his work. He was passionate about it. And I think that's another thing that, you have to have in anything that you do. If you're not passionate about something, it's not worth doing. Mm-hmm. And so I got into it because I was able to, I wanted that. I wanted to have that same joy and enjoyment in what I was doing. And I'm more technically oriented. My dad's more the outgoing and he knows no stranger, and he loves.
Never guessed.
I know. Hard to believe. Didn't mean to shock both of you, but he's perfectly fine being in a crowded room of strangers, knowing no one. He'll leave knowing everyone's name and being their best friend. Mm-hmm. You put me in that same room, and I'm kind of the one that goes in the corner, and you need to approach me and engage with me. I'm more introverted in that way. But what we did as a team was we got to focus on one another's strengths. And so that's another reason why, being in a family business, I got a lot of joy out of it. Was I got to work with my dad. I had a lot of freedom to make mistakes. And, there are not a lot of places in businesses and in organizations that allow for, giving people enough rope, I think. Mm-hmm. I've never learned anything when I'm in a comfort zone. I just don't. I'm only growing when I'm making mistakes. Yep. And trust me, I've made plenty along the way, and I've been doing this since 1985. So you guys weren't even born. You weren't even close to probably being born. So
a few years down the road.
I was 2.
That's a great point, though, because I think one of the best opportunities to learn is through mistakes. Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel like you have the rope, as you put it, to make a mistake and to to know that that's okay, that we're human, that mistakes are natural, and as long as you're taking that and learning from it and learning how to build off of it, mistakes are really what help us as people to get better. But I think a lot of times in different environments, in like school systems, even from an early age, kids maybe aren't, they don't feel like they're in a safe environment to make mistakes and to learn from them. Right. But I think some of the most successful people that I've ever met are those that are very open about like the mistakes that they've made, and they, saw where it went wrong, and they said, all right, let's not do it that way. Let's try it a different way. And it's just like growing and growing and growing. And I think that's so important. And I'm fortunate for the culture at Ash that almost allows us to not be people who are just, flippantly making mistakes all the time, but this is a family. We know that we're human beings, and we're here to support each other. If something goes wrong, we'll figure it out, we'll grow, we'll improve. And I appreciate that type of environment because it makes me feel like I can
breathe.
I'm not walking on eggshells, trying to do my job. I'm just me, just doing my best and learning something new every day. So.
Well, to think about it this way, Kaitlyn, and back to what you said, nobody's perfect, right? Perfection, I think, quite frankly, is boring. Like, I don't ever want to be perfect. I always want to learn something. And what you and I are doing as far as educating the community and educating our peers, we're learning every single day. And we failed with a couple of the different things that we've tried, and we've learned from it. And just like with the business, we have to grow, every day. Yeah. Yep.
Well, I know that we had this question lined up for you, and I don't know if you'll have an answer to it, but if you weren't in the insurance business, is there anything else you can picture yourself doing today?
I struggle with that one. I love what I do so much, I can't imagine doing anything else. Now, with that said, I do love cars. And I would have probably something to do with the car industry in a very specialized way. Because I believe, I don't just look at the car and see it as, I see it as a work of art, and I appreciate the artist and the engineering and everything that went into that, and the passion and the stories that go into the cars that have been made. And so I'd probably be doing something in that. The second part of this, I love to teach. So I enjoy taking apart a complex subject or problem set and try to figure it out, and then try to help others, learn and see that, anything's possible if you apply yourself, and also if you're surrounded by people that care about you, and mentors, so that being a mentor, being a teacher is something I really enjoy. So
It's cool.
Going back to the car thing, where do you think your love of cars started, or what spurred that passion in you?
So I have been an entrepreneur since I was 5 years old. And I actually talked about this with my wife. I said, I've always been interested in something. I would shovel drives. I would mow grass. I would sell, for those people who know what a night crawler is, I would sell night crawlers.
Awesome.
I sold painted rocks. So where am I going with the car thing, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things was some of my dad's friend had some pretty cool cars, and they would I would wash and wax them for them. And they trusted me enough to drive them, and they trusted me enough to take care of them. And, I always appreciated that. I respected that they respected me. They trusted me. And so that it started there, but really where I got connected with it was because of my son. And when he was 14, he expressed an interest in, he knew everything there was to know about just about any car that was out there.
Wow.
And so, I always had a passion for some of the exotic brands, and I acquired one. And it was with that that my son and I started buying and selling. We would get in the car, a car, with no plan, and we would just drive. And we would go somewhere. We did a road trip. We got in the car, packed a bag, drove my wife crazy because she has to have a plan. Where are we stopping?
Yeah.
When, everything has to, and I don't like plans. I'm random.
Yeah.
So we would get in the car. I said, well, are we going east or are we going west? And so we went east. We did Cleveland, saw a baseball game. We drove to Philadelphia.
Wow.
Saw another baseball game, went to New Jersey, drove up to, we actually bought and sold a car on the journey.
What?
I love this.
So
That is awesome.
It's how,
That's awesome.
yeah, and I think when you allow yourself to not live by such a rule set, and that doesn't mean breaking rules. It just means you don't have to have everything figured out to a T.
Mm-hmm.
You just get in it and enjoy what you're doing, who you're doing it with, and you seek to find the experiences in that journey, like the car trip, that it just kind of opens up something inside of you. At least it does for me. So that was a long-winded answer.
That is a
I
really
like it.
cool story, though.
Yeah.
I think that it's important to hear the whole, you don't have to live by such a rules-based approach. I need to hear that because I'm like your wife, probably more so, where I have to have a plan. Everything's got to be totally mapped out. And my fiance is not that way. So sometimes it drives me nuts, but a lot of times it's so good for me because I realize if I just take a breath and just roll with the punches and just sort of follow his lead, we have so much fun together doing stuff that I would have never, in my plan-based mind, would have never probably thought to do otherwise.
Yeah, it was, where are you going to eat? Where are you going to stay?
Yeah.
We didn't have a hotel room. We didn't even know where we were going to spend the night. I didn't care. Austin didn't care. We just wanted to be together and enjoy the experience. And we've done that quite a few times. And we did a South trip once, and that was fun too. Nashville is great.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Love Nashville. Cool. That's probably a really good memory for him too.
Yeah.
And then he'll probably be able to do that with his kids, if and when he ever has any. And yeah, that's so cool. You guys will have to take like a 3-generation trip sometime if that ever happens in the future. What's your favorite car?
The one
Can
I'm
you pick
driving. No.
If you could choose one, what would be your all-time?
A Porsche Carrera GT. That's
I'll have
my.
to look that up. That's cool.
And why?
Yeah.
What makes that one the favorite?
You have to respect it. It is very fast, very loose in the sense that it doesn't have all of the systems to, it does have traction control, but it's like not really, doesn't have traction control. And you just have to respect the horsepower, the power of the car, the design of the car. It's a car now that's 16 years old. And it still commands that level of respect. And I've driven, I've been very fortunate and blessed to have driven McLarens, Ferraris, Lamborghinis. I'm embarrassed to even talk about it. But I'm a Porsche fan, is my favorite.
Well,
That's very cool.
I appreciate you sharing that. And
Yeah.
something that just made me think of, have you seen Ford versus Ferrari, the movie?
I have.
Man, that's have you seen that
I
movie?
haven't. It's on my queue.
Oh man,
that
I am
watch.
one of those people that I don't love to watch movies twice. Like I'm
Yeah.
kind of one of those people that I'm like, there's so many movies out there, I'd rather see a new one rather than rewatch. I couldn't wait to see that movie again. And so
Really?
I saw it in theaters, and then like the next week I went with somebody else and saw it again. I loved that movie. And I don't consider myself a huge car person, but just incredible story, great actors. You've got to see it. I'll watch it with you.
Okay. We can have like a Zoom watch the part.
There you go.
Watch the movie.
Yes.
Type thing. Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
So through your career, you, Tim, have driven Ash Brokerage to levels of immense success as a leader, both in the insurance industry and within the Fort Wayne as a community as a whole.
yes.
I think even in some surrounding areas. What are some of the factors that you attribute to the success of Ash Brokerage?
Our business is a human capital business. So it always starts with surrounding yourself with the right chemistry and the right culture and the right people. And I always think you have to hire people that are smarter than you are, that you give opportunity to, and then get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to, I was afforded that when I got into the business early on. I was given a lot of responsibility very early on, and I was trusted. And so I think transferring that to our current leadership team and all of our team at Ash, that's one key component. Sure, let's get the cliche out of the way. Hard work. Well, yeah, a lot of hours, a lot of effort, passion, purpose. If you don't have those two, you shouldn't be doing it's just a job. It's just a paycheck. And I think the success is adding up all of those factors. And another part is humility. I learned this from my father. Everybody, and I mean everybody, no matter what your title, rank, you've been here one day or 30 years, you treat everyone with respect. There's no class hierarchy here. And I've always believed in this philosophy. People don't work for me. I work for them. And I want to put in place an environment that people can grow and use their voice and be inspired and I hope at the kitchen tables of now more people are eating at the kitchen table right now, that the conversation around the table is that they go, Ash Brokerage has made me a better mother, father, brother, cousin, nephew. I care deeply about that. And I think when you put all of that into a corporation, and I've never understood this saying, it's, hey, this is business, it's not personal. Well, hello.
It is.
A corporation is built of people.
Yes.
It is personal. And we all bring, into our environments the things that are going on in our lives and in our worlds, our struggles, our successes. And to know that you have an environment that you are safe to share that in, and that you have people around you that care, that's why I would say we've enjoyed this.
Without a doubt.
And I mean, Face the Fear is a big example of exactly what you were just
Right.
talking about. And your vision really, I think, coming to life within Ash, because as we referenced earlier on, it started in one of your Friday morning meetings where you were talking about just the importance of educating the community at large. And yes, we tend to work more directly with financial professionals themselves, but we also have to understand there's so many people who are not in the financial services industry who just have no idea where to even start when it comes to their own finances.
Mm-hmm.
And that spurred Nicole and motivated her to say, you know what, hey, I want to take action in that area. I want to do something to educate my peers, the people that I talk to all the time that are unlike me, not in this field and not surrounded by the lingo all the time. And so we just kind of joined forces and have just, I mean, it's been awesome. I think this is me speaking for both of us, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but
Okay.
I feel like Face the Fear for us is so much more for us even than we feel like it is for other people, because we've just learned so much ourselves from all of the really incredible, knowledgeable people who have collaborated and been on the podcast and written articles for us. And the byproduct of that is seeing people who follow us on social media or friends and family who are reading our articles get something of value from it as well. So I just, I think exactly what you said has led to why Face the Fear is even in existence today.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you both for, an idea is they're a dime a dozen. If you don't take action on an idea, it's just an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I applaud both of you for, as I opened with, you had courage, you're taking on subjects and learning along the way, and you're giving. And that's why it feels, so good to you. Why you're getting more out of it is because the gift of giving is the greatest thing that you can experience. And by educating and by providing input and advice and seeing people respond in a positive way, that's so reinforcing and it just, it's fuel. And I'm big on momentum and things like that, and positive momentum.
So going off of the fact that Face the Fear is directed towards people Nicole and I's ages, 20s, 30s, what is something that you wish that your 20-year-old self had known in regards to finances, but maybe just in regards to life in general?
Finances, I was actually ahead of the curve because I was around it very early on, and me mentioning I was an entrepreneur since I was 5,
Yeah.
and I wasn't being sarcastic. I really went back through my life and I was like, wow, you're a problem child, serial entrepreneur. So I learned a lot about saving, and I learned a lot about investing early on. And so my advice to the 20-year-old is start now. Every dollar that you make, save some portion of it into something. And the other part is don't worry. I think people allow their egos to get in the way. Okay, they allow their egos to get in the way because they don't want to be embarrassed because they don't understand a subject or they don't understand a topic. So I'm not going to talk about it.
So true.
Yeah.
And that's what finances gets in the way of folks. And then when you're 50, you don't have enough time to make up for it.
Right.
So when you start at 20 or 30, you've got many opportunities over time to grow your money, to enable it to provide your paycheck for you when you decide to stop earning a paycheck at your work. So your money has to work just as hard as you did to get it, there. So the part I would say to my 20-year-old self is always have a purpose and a passion. I've said that already. But curiosity. My goodness, be curious. Be curious about something. And I see a bit too much today that there's a lot of distractions, There's a lot of screen time. There's a lot of apps. There's a lot of platforms that folks are. I love them. I think they're terrific. But when they keep you from focusing on something or really going deep into a subject or a relationship or something, that concerns me. And so my advice would be, schedule something in your day. And I've been pretty disciplined about this. I have my calendar color coded so I can see if I'm out of balance. So internal meeting and mentoring, education for myself, time for me, working on strategy, working on community, working on charity, time with family. I always had non-negotiables too in my calendar. There was nothing that would get in the way of me going to an event for my kids. I didn't care. I've given up so many opportunities to, I had the chance to play Augusta, and it happened to be on the time my son had a basketball game. And I'm like, I'm not going to Augusta. I'll go another time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to the 20 and 30-year-old, be disciplined and do things around that you can work on yourself, and have it be about things that you're passionate about.
I recently heard this. I can't remember if it was a book or a podcast, but the person was talking about how we need more ideas in the world, but people are almost afraid to share ideas because they're afraid it's not a good idea. But because of that, our brain almost teaches us to not be creative and curious, like you were saying, because unless we have a brilliant idea, it's not valuable. So it's instead, consciously exercise trying to have ideas, even if it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Write it down. It's an idea, And then before long, your brain starts, it's like muscle memory, starts getting a pattern of thinking more and more of ideas, being more curious, being, asking more questions. And then you start coming up with more ideas, and, it's like a chance of, probability. If you have 100 ideas, the chance that one of them will be good is higher than if you have 2 ideas that you really put much thought into. So I think that's really, going along with what you were saying is curiosity, use that muscle in your brain, because so much of our world is pre-programmed and just kind of all out there for our taking as far as entertainment and just consumption online and everything. But sometimes we forget to just use our own incredible brain in our head and think of things, in and of itself. So I've been trying to do that more, to just be silent, just don't have a phone, don't have music, just me and my brain, and see what, sometimes it's a scary place to be, but it does. I mean, it leads to cool ideas and just different lines of thought that I would have never gotten to if you didn't schedule something like that out.
I actually did that for a while. I was journaling for a long time during a certain period of my life. And I would set aside 5 minutes of the 20 minutes that I would journal just to write down random ideas or what if statements, what if this, what if this. And it is very beneficial. And I feel maybe I should get back more into doing that. I think it's funny, you talk about being an entrepreneur so early at 5. My son is 5, and he's constantly like, well, I'm going to start a store with my Pokemon cards, and I'm going to charge this much. Or if I do this, will you give me this much allowance? And
wow, he's bargaining with
I'm
you
telling
already.
you, hold on. So, and he has a piggy bank, but he also says, can we put this much, like if he gets more than $5 at a time, can we put this in my 529, or can we add this to my bank account?
Who
And like,
is this kid, Nicole?
he's like
you're
a
doing an
50-year-old
awesome
in
job.
like a 5-year-old's body. But I think too, like being curious, even at 20, I think we also need to make sure that we are teaching curiosity to our children and encouraging that. Always encourage children to be curious, and they're naturally like that. But I feel like we, like in our 20s and 30s, sometimes get so bogged down in daily life things like having a job, paying the bills, grocery shopping, just everything. And we don't encourage the curiosity in our kids. And we need to do that because there's a future generation that's going to learn from us. We're learning this. We have to pass it on to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Tim,
So
you've
funny.
talked some about change and the need to constantly be growing and evolving. How do you respond to change on both a personal and professional level?
First of all, I love change because I enjoy growing, and if you're not changing, you're stuck. And in the word routine is the word rut, or the letters R-U-T are in routine. So when you get too routine, you get in a rut. And so I have a resiliency mentality, and that is that I'm in control of my attitude, no matter what my circumstances are, and they can be terrific or they can be very challenging. But there's one thing that you have control of, and that's your attitude towards those events that go on in your life. Change is one of them. Some people don't like change; they like to stay in their comfort zone and all that. But the interesting thing is that anyone that's a parent, what do you want mostly for your kids? You want them to change, you want them to grow, you want them to evolve. But why don't we consume that advice ourselves? So I do. I eat a bowl of change every day. It seems it does drive my wife nuts because and it's not because I'm satisfied is I don't even like that word. It shouldn't even be a satisfied's like yeah, it's good. That's really empowering, isn't it? So change to me, both personally and professionally, is something that I embrace. I love it, and I've programmed my mind to think in this manner that if I'm not changing, then I'm not utilizing the gifts that all of us have been given to impact your family, to impact a community, to impact a business, and I take great responsibility in that. I'm responsible, along with other people. 450 paychecks are being produced and provided from this company.
Wow.
And and there hasn't been in a 50-year history that we've ever not done that. And so if you don't change, you may not have that opportunity to do that. And so I look at change as something I have to do, and I want to do, and it's fun.
I agree. I like change.
So the whole routines create get you stuck in a rut. When you feel like you're getting in too much of a routine and you're starting to get stuck in a rut, is there something that you do to kind of reprogram or reset and to get you out of that spot? Because I know that's something sometimes I wrestle with, is I can feel myself getting stuck, but it's like, how do I break out? How do I revive that passion? How do I reset my mindset? So I'm just curious to hear what your thoughts are.
Well, hey, listen, I'd love to say I have the formula that I never get in a rut, but I have habits too. We all do, right? We like to watch the same TV programs, or we that's my chair right there, and or all the things that we do. Drive to work the same way, and now I get to walk to work, which is fun.
Awesome.
But if I'm stuck, it starts with I just have it's self-talk. You have to talk to yourself. Say, like, you've got this, you can do this, you need to move on. And I'm a big believer, you know, you might think that's odd, but I think if you verbalize something, if you say it out aloud, it will stick. Mm-hmm. And so it might be, hey, just like, you've got this, let's do this, let's get after it. And then I ask empowering questions. By staying in the rut, what am I going to miss out on? Mm. Or how can I impact more change? How can I help more people? And I think if you start asking an empowering question, you'll get an empowered answer, because that's where your brain, where if you ask a disempowering question like, well, why does it always have to be that way? Or why do I have to do that? Then you get excuses. Mm-hmm. And I don't like to ask questions of myself that enable me to have an excuse. Mm. So that's how I get out of it. It's worked for me. But admittedly, I still have some habits and routines that I'm in, and we all do. And
it goes back to being in the comfort zone, I think. Like, you're comfortable where you're at and you're comfortable with that routine. But yeah, asking yourself those questions helps you break out of that, and you grow and you change because of it.
Yeah. I love that. At Ash, we're all in the business of managing risk.
Right.
That's a big part of what we do. But I like what you said about the empowering questions. Mm-hmm. Of, if I stay in this spot, what am I missing out on potentially? Or what's the consequence of staying here, staying comfortable in my comfort zone? And a lot of people, I think, myself included, are, afraid of change. And so that's why we like to stay in the comfortable bubble that we're used to and we've responded to. So we have our script of how we go through things. But it's important to ask those bigger questions of, the really scary thing is, what if I never change? What if I'm doing the same thing 30 years from now that I'm doing today? I would be really sad. I think I would regret not doing a lot of things that I would have done if I had not taken that extra step. Mm-hmm. So I think I really like that idea of asking empowering questions. That's
so when
really
you talk about being empowered and asking yourself those questions, who motivates you? When you get stuck in that rut, do you find that you have any people that specifically motivate you to get out of that rut or change your routine or help you look at things in a different way?
I do. And my wife would probably be, she's the one that sees me if I'm down or frustrated. And she'll just help me talk through it. Mm-hmm. She helps me to, if I'm stuck or mm-hmm. she pulls me through. Yeah. And I also have other people in the business world that I lean on, and it's different people at different times for different reasons. I'm inspired by folks. I'm going to bring Mike McLaughlin into this. If you want to talk about someone that is disciplined and yes. focused, mm-hmm. and driven and has evolved, that I really I'm inspired by that. I like seeing someone that has a lot more discipline than I do, and because I said earlier I'm random. I don't want don't give me the track to run on. I want to build my own track. But I admire that. Another individual is Jeff Thomason from Oxford Financial. He's built the #1 independent RIA firm in the United States. And he is just terrific with how I've never seen a mind like his. It's always thinking ahead. He's always thinking of how he can be better, their firm can be better. And every meeting I have with him, I walk away going, man, I don't feel like I've done anything. Every time I'm with him, it's like, so that inspires me. It gets, mm-hmm. Makes me want to do. So surround yourself with, here's the thing. surround yourself with people that are gonna lift you up. They're gonna drive you. They're gonna motivate you. It's really easy to find people that will not lift you up, tear you down, and all that. So I've always tried to surround myself with people and relationships that make me better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are you curious about right now?
I'm curious about what the world is going to look like.
Me too.
Same.
And I'm excited about it. I'm afraid. A lot of adjectives and emotions to describe what is going on. And then I skip back to what are those empowering questions that I can ask myself? Well, how can I take this situation and turn it into impacting more lives? What can we do as a team, as a company, as an organization, as an individual, as a group to lift others up when when they need it? And then I put my I've got my family, my social, and my business hat. I put my business hat on and say, how can we transform this business? I want to go all digital. All digital. We have to. And so we're marching down that path. So I'm curious about what that journey looks like for us to evolve our company so that we not only exist, but that we thrive.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be the eyes and ears of the business, from strategy, spotting trends, and it's been so this time has, and it's shaken all of us. If it hasn't, you live under a rock, or you don't have a heart, and your viewers are probably going to hit pause or turn off. I'm sorry, but
No,
they're troopers.
yeah, they're troopers.
Yes.
Good. But my curiosity is around how do we get better, and how do we influence when you have a purpose in that mission of having a positive impact on lives. You can ask yourself a heck of a lot of good questions, and when you do, you'll get good answers.
I am really excited to see how our millennial generation responds to coronavirus moving forward, especially from a financial perspective, just because of how in such a short period of time, it's drastically just, taken the rug out from under so many people when it comes to stability of jobs, stability of health, so many things. I'm hoping it's a really big wake-up call for people who are younger to feel the importance of having emergency savings, to feel the importance of building a retirement account early, because the reality is we just don't know what life is going to throw at us next. And so having that discipline to really just, take what could be play money today, and by all means, have fun and do things while you're young, but also understand the value of investing in yourself later too. I'm just interested to see how coronavirus shapes everyone, but especially those Nicole and I's age, especially.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Agreed.
Which maybe we should have made a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode for those who may be listening to this months or years later, what in the heck are they talking about? We are, what day is today? June 10th of 2020? I don't know. Funny story, this is off topic, but my fiance and I were in Aldi's grocery shopping the other day, and there's this man standing at the dairy cooler, and he's looking, and he turns around to us, he goes, "I'm so sorry, this is probably a really stupid question. What day is it?" So my fiance very confidently, this was several days ago, okay, goes, "It's June the 10th. And I'm like, I don't think it hit. What day is it? I'm like, no, it's June the 6th. He's like, "Oh, okay, got it." I just can't keep track of what day it is anymore. And he's looking at the expiration date on the milks, trying to figure out what day it is.
Poor thing.
And the fact that he asked and that neither one of us knew the answer, we're both like, I don't know what day it is. Actually, I'm not sure. So anyways, to our listeners, we're in the middle of a weird time with coronavirus, COVID-19. It's shaped our lives, as I'm sure it's shaped any of those listening in some way or the other. So that just puts this episode into a little bit more context, I think.
Well, it goes to the education that you've been providing.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have savings, and you need to have that emergency fund for the what ifs in life. And this is that's just basic foundational things. Now, no one would have said at the start of this year, that 2020, well, we're going to have a pandemic, and it's going to shut the economy down, and we're going to have an unemployment rate of 20%. Well, now it's happened. So actually, I think, and this is where I ask that empowering question, what can we learn from this so that we're better prepared to have financial success in the future? What are the steps that I must evolve, must change, and can do? What are ideas that you can share and that those that are listening can do? And that is have a plan, educate yourself, seek education. If you're not financially savvy, you get intimidated by the acronyms, the words, all the things that are going on out there. If you put your mind to it, you'll find the education, you'll find the resources that you need to do it. But the point is this, I always put aside something. Every time I earned any amount of money, whether it was through a paycheck or something that I bought and sold, the profit or the return, I would always reinvest that back in, and having that discipline to do that. And for the folks that have done that, they're fine.
Just one more quick question to wrap us up here. We so appreciate your time, and I've learned so much. I am excited to listen to this again, to just relearn everything and let it soak in a little bit more. But is there anything that you would like to just share with our audience that we haven't covered today that you'd like to leave us with?
You even prepped me with that question before I got on here. And, so here it is again, me, Mr. Random. I would say re-listen to the podcast like you just suggested. And the advice that I would say is this. I'm going to repeat some of it. Be passionate about whatever it is that you're going to embark upon or do. Lift up other people. Inspire curiosity, especially in your children. And just do things that allow you the time so that you can work on yourself. Schedule that time to work on yourself. It will open up your world. It'll open up your life. It has for me, and I've been doing it a very long time. And that's one thing that I would encourage everyone to. And to keep listening to both of you.
Of course.
As I said to you guys when you first got this started, I said, don't forget about me when you're famous. So I'm still going to throw that out there.
I don't know that we're there yet, but,
Yeah, you will
maybe
be.
in another years.
One step closer every day,
Well,
Oh, goodness.
be wind in people's sails.
Awesome.
That's my last bit of advice.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate the conversation so much. Our podcast doors are always open to have you back. I'm sure we would love to have you back again at some point. But any final words, Nicole?
No, just thank you. This was exciting and fun. Thank you.
So for anyone listening, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, so you'll be notified when we come out with more awesome episodes. If you have questions for us, feel free to shoot them over to facethefearfw@gmail.com and check out our website, facethefearfw.com. We're always posting new updates and more exciting information. So Thanks for listening, and until next time, we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.